Okay, part two. So you had talked about eating right, or eating and essentially monitoring your food intake, and again, that's one of those things that I think as we get older, that becomes more important. I have found that when I started swimming a lot last week, I was starving those first 2 or 3 days, and I would wake up in the middle of the night and had to go get a sandwich. But I mean, obviously, swimming for 2 hours a day, or doing anything for 2 hours a day, is going to make you hungry. So I don't know how many calories I'm taking in. I don't bother monitoring that. It's interesting because Marsha, can you hand me that book right there? The blue one.
Pretty much figured which book you were talking about.
The friend that I went snowshoeing with, Rich, he lent me a book, the Triathlete's Training Bible, because I was just kind of curious about some training issues, but they were talking about eating in there, and they really used a couple of different examples. One was Lance Armstrong, who, when he was at the height of his what?
Was it running?
No. Tour de France biking.
Oh, okay.
The height of his game, he would literally weigh everything that he ate during the day. I mean, weigh it and monitor it that closely. I mean, obviously he was in fantastic shape. Now, contrast that with Michael Phelps, who didn't weigh anything. He just couldn't wait to get food in his mouth, and he ate anything and everything. I mean, he was consuming like 15,000 calories a day, but he was probably swimming. I'm guessing Phelps was probably swimming 10 to 15,000 yards a day, probably 15,000 yards a day, which is, what is that? That's 6 miles a day he was swimming? No, longer than that. It was 5,000. 15, 3, 10. How many is that? That would be 5,280 yards is 3 miles. So 3, 6, 9 miles. 9 to 10 miles a day he was swimming. I mean, obviously he could just consume whatever he wanted, but what I couldn't figure out is, I mean, Lance Armstrong obviously was working out a lot during the day, a lot of hours as well. So why was he weighing everything he ate, and Phelps was just, trying to shovel as many pounds of food in as he could? I don't know. But I'm not Michael Phelps. I don't swim 15,000 yards a day. I swim 6. And that, I'm not quite so concerned about what I'm eating, but what I do try to do is eat less carbs. I try to skip the scones in the morning, the leftover scones. I really don't eat Blato's donuts. I mean, I love the Bavarian creams. Once a week, once every 2 weeks. That's fine. It's not going to kill me. It's not going to hurt my body or anything. But what I usually eat in the morning is a banana and whole milk yogurt and granola. And that I can usually swim, a long workout just on that, with maybe, a couple of other, maybe some trail mix or nuts or something. Guys, can you keep it down while I'm making video? It's funny. I was a quick aside. Listening to your comment about Tara not wanting to go with you and Sarah because he thought it sounded loud. I think my kids would want to go on a trip like that because it sounded like it would be quieter. Preston, put on search, please. No, I can't make this video with you talking. Colleen, put on search, please. So anyway, it's but I'm trying to certainly trying to eat right. So when I'm done swimming, I usually have something, but I try not to eat the chips. I try not to eat the easy foods. I don't eat the cookies. It's trail mix, it's nuts, it's usually a sandwich, maybe soup. Today was beer cheese soup for the Packers. Go Pack! Go Pack. Not Tupac. Green Bay Pack. And and then for dinner, whatever it is, but I don't tend to eat huge portions. Really what I do is if I'm not hungry, I'm not going to eat. I drink a lot. I've found that I have to drink a lot of water because I sweat so much. It's hard to notice in the pool because you don't really notice it in the pool. But I really am just dumping the fluids in that pool.
You can swim in the pool?
I know what you mean about dark chocolate. Beth and I both really love dark chocolate. We actually have some in the cabinet here. We usually go for the 85%. That's our favorite kind. And one of the things that we do with dark chocolate is every time we play Scrabble with Taff and Anne, we bring the dark chocolate and they provide the tea. And we always have dark chocolate and black tea, which is a great combo. Or just dark chocolate and any tea, frankly, is a good combo. Speaking of which, do I need to send you some more tea? Are you out? You want to try some different kinds? You want teas or you want herbals? So let me know. One of the things that I've been thinking a lot about is obviously the fast is fast approaching, and what I'm going to do with that this year, because I will have finished February probably swimming somewhere in the vicinity of 140,000 yards, and I don't really want to go backwards on that. Because what I'm trying to do is get in shape for those really long races, and in order to be a distance swimmer, to swim the mile swims, the 2-mile swims, you have to have swam. I mean, you've got to put the miles in the pool. And my real concern is, either I'm going to have to swim before the sun comes up, after the sun goes down, which neither of which are feasible, given the fact when the pool's open, because or just swim, a couple thousand yards for the 19 days. I don't know. I haven't, obviously there's exemptions for work and whatever your vocation is, but I mean there's, and I'm not a legalist. I don't worry too much about the letter. I'm not even actually sure what it says, but or what it would say, or about something like this, because obviously I'm choosing to swim. But I mean, it's optional. It's not like work that I depend on. That's not. I guess that could be optional, but. But if I want to keep up this pace of swimming, I have to drink a lot. I mean, I really do during the day. And what I'm going to end up doing is, if I don't, I'm going to end up injuring myself or making myself ill. So I'm not sure I've not really come to a conclusion yet. I certainly feel like I am. I know that the discipline of swimming is maybe different than the discipline of fasting, but I still feel like it's a discipline. And what I'm doing and what I've been doing is it's a huge amount of discipline for me, both in how I eat, how I approach life, knowing I have to get sleep. It's just my feeling right now is that I'm not going to fast. That I'm going to because I find that I can't do both. So tell me what you think about that. Boundary waters. Yes. Summertime would be good. Mosquitoes out the wazoo in the summertime, though. So, spring would be nice. And you're going to freeze your butt off because it's still going to be down in the teens at night up there in the spring. In fall, you really have to get deep into November before you get rid of the bugs. And, of course, by then you're going to be in the teens. So, I don't know what the solution is. So we'll talk about it. As of right now, I'm going to get the Land Cruiser running again. There's actually a little metal pipe about yay long. Can you see that? There you go. About yay long, about about as big around as a standard school pencil. That it's like a tube, really, a metal tube that leads from one float bowl to the other, and it's misplaced. I don't know if I misplaced it or one of the kids picked it up or what. I'm going to have to order another one. But I'm almost done getting it back together. I'm very close. So, camp this summer, I think that's certainly a possibility.
Yes.
Beth, I don't know if I've told you this, is going to on pilgrimage in December. I am not going with her. She and I think Virginia are going. So I would not be averse to coming out there to camp. The problem is it's right during Shakespeare, and we are so busy with Shakespeare, and we're going to be busier with Shakespeare, that I can certainly get out there, but during camp is much more difficult. I don't know. I'll work on it. I'll talk to Virginia a little bit about it, and see what I can swing. But I would like to come out. It might just end up being in June and not during camp. So, I know Shakespeare just locks up, man, 6 weeks of our summer. But so goes life, right? I mean, if you don't want to own a business, go work for somebody. So, as to cutting off your dreads, I'm not going to mention it to anybody. Marshall, you didn't hear that.
Yes, I did.
Camp would be the perfect place to do it, but my real fear is if I showed up. Yeah, Marshall doesn't want you to cut them off. If I showed up, you'd want me to cut my hair too, or shave my head or something god awful like that, which I'm just finally getting some hair again, so I don't want to do that.
If you shave your dreads, Dad has to shave his hair.
So, but by the way, I do have to tell you that I had a couple of co-eds at work who I was showing a video of you because I was talking about you, and I hadn't talked about YouTube Dan before. They didn't know who you were, so I had to show them your picture, and one of the gals said, "Oh man, he is so cool looking. I love those dreads." So there you go. You've got a following of 20-year-old girls. Maybe that's all the more reason to cut them off. Anyway, that's about all I've got. You did ask about the Rochester workout. Rochester workout was good. Lots of people. It's a highly productive place. They've got, when I got there at 6 in the morning on Saturday, there were probably 80 under 16-year-old kids there, from the ages of like 8 through 16, already working out, or just starting to work out because they started at 6 as well. And there were probably 20 master swimmers, and I actually swam in the same lane as Tom, the coach, and another guy named Tom, so I changed my name to Tom, made it simpler. And Tom threw down an 8,200-yard workout, which just made me laugh. I did 5,500 yards and called it good. But anyway, it was good. I'll probably go over there every couple of weeks, maybe every third week. I talked to Glenn and Lisa, the swimmers here, and they said they would be willing to go over on the occasional weekend as well because they're just into that. So it was really cool. And I guess that's all I've got. It's 6 minutes till 9, and I think I'm going to wrap this up and go put the kids to bed. And as I've said when I'm putting the kids to bed, in fact, I think it was a song by Right Said Fred, still dead.